The Volkswagen Tiguan has a turbocharged engine and standard 4-motion all-wheel drive, so you can find somewhere to relax in a hurry. Finance the Tiguan from just 0.99% for 60 months during the Volks Summer event. Visit your VW dealer before July 31st.
Volkswagen.
This week in gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello friends, I'm Naomi Kyle and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week we're catching up on Apex Legends Backlash, an update from San Diego Comic-Con, Mortal Kombat Animalities make a return, video game voice actors go on strike, and the latest on AI in the industry, and a whole lot more. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's get started. Cosmetics have been a steady source of income for developers of online multiplayer games. In most cases, these cosmetics require very little labor on behalf of the developer and can bring in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in profit, depending on the quality and source material of the cosmetic. That being the case, it's no wonder cosmetics are so prevalent in games like Call of Duty, Overwatch, and of course, Fortnite. In a recent investigation, a journalist at Wired has alleged that Activision had an AI-generated cosmetic available for purchase in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 store. In their interview with a former employee, it is suggested that the cosmetic in question was a part of the Yokai's Wrath bundle that was available for purchase back in December of 2023. It isn't known specifically what cosmetics in the bundle were said to be AI-generated, but upon closer examination, I have reason to believe that the weapon blueprint, calling card, and loading screen have been influenced by AI as they deviate from the skin's model. Microsoft, who bought Activision Blizzard back in 2022, has been heavily invested in the development of AI. They have even gone so far as to mandate AI goals into the climate action implementation plan they have set for Activision Blizzard and likely several other developers under Microsoft's purview. Activision employees have allegedly been made to sign up for training with the use of AI tools, and Activision's former CEO, Bobby Kotick, has been outspoken about the benefits he believes can be provided with the advancement of AI tools. Video game professionals have been concerned with the growing advancement of AI, as many fear they could see their jobs replaced. All of this, in combination with the massive layoffs we've seen recently in the video games industry, has spurred professionals to take action by joining workers' unions like the CWA, IATSE, and SAG-AFTRA. In related news, members of the Screen Actors Guild who work in the video games industry have successfully voted to strike starting on July 26th due to their concerns regarding AI. SAG-AFTRA has long struggled to come to an agreement with game studios like Activision, specifically concerning AI replacing voice actors and motion capture performers. SAG-AFTRA is no stranger to strikes, as it were. Just last year, union members took to the streets and entrances of studio lots in their protest against the Producers Guild, otherwise known as the AMPTP. In the 118 days they were on strike, SAG and the AMPTP finally met in agreement to codify a 3-year contract ensuring actors increased pay and protections against AI, among a laundry list of other protections. It is uncertain which games will be affected by the strike, but it is clear that we can expect delays from games still in development by studios like Activision, EA, Insomniac, Take-Two, and others who are not currently in agreement with SAG-AFTRA. Studios have not been shy when voicing their opinion around the use of AI in video games. You may recall Ubisoft had excitedly announced its experimentation with AI in video games, boasting that they had created AI NPCs capable of mimicking real conversation. Chair for the Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Committee, Sarah Elmele, had this to say about the union's members and the strike. 18 months of negotiations have shown that our employees are not interested in fair, reasonable AI protections, but rather flagrant exploitation. We will not leave any of our members behind, nor will we wait for sufficient protection any longer. We look forward to collaborating with teams on our interim and independent contracts and to continuing to negotiate in good faith with this bargaining group when they are ready to join us in the world we all deserve. Back in early July, the free-to-play hero shooter Apex Legends launched Season 22, and with it, changes to the Battle Pass system. Shortly after its launch, players began to notice something fishy was going on. The Battle Pass that was previously good all season long was now split up into 2 Battle Passes, and now neither of which was available for purchase using the Apex Premium in-game currency, Apex Coins. Meaning if you wanted to earn the rewards locked behind the Battle Pass, you had to pay with cold hard cash, and at $20 a pop, this one free-to-play game just got a lot less free. So as you might expect, gamers did what gamers with a grudge do best. They took to Steam, pummeling the Apex Legends Steam page with 77,000 negative reviews, tanking the game's rating from mostly positive to overwhelmingly negative. In a late attempt to save face, Apex developer Respawn took to social media to apologize to fans for the changes to the Battle Pass. While the Battle Pass for Season 22 remains split in 2, an update was made to allow players to purchase Battle Passes with Apex Coins. But charity from Respawn ends there, as they were none too shy to announce that they would be adding 2 new tiers to the Battle Pass system called Ultimate and then Ultimate Plus. Both are identical to the Battle Pass with the added benefit of including Apex packs, crafting materials, and a price tag of $10 and $20. It looks like Respawn has been taking notes from Xbox Game Pass. Or is it just me? News for Mortal Kombat 1 broke during a panel at last week's San Diego Comic-Con 2024 event. In a teaser trailer played during the panel, fans were treated to all new Animalities. Animalities have not made a return to the Mortal Kombat series since 1995, when they made their debut in Mortal Kombat 3. Animalities served as a fatality variant where characters would turn into an animal and dismember the opponent in the most gruesome fashion fitting of the Mortal Kombat franchise. In the teaser, we saw finishers with animals like a hyena, a hippo, a gorilla, a T-Rex skeleton, a wolf, and of course, Scorpion turning into a scorpion, while Melina transforms into a praying mantis. The reveal of Animalities was part of the announcement for Mortal Kombat 1's second year of content and the upcoming Chaos Reigns DLC, set to release on September 24th. The expansion pack will include 6 new DLC characters: Cyrax, Sector, Noob Saibot, Ghostface, Conan the Barbarian, and the T-1000. Additionally, all Mortal Kombat 1 owners will receive a free MK95 Scorpion character skin inspired by the original 1995 Mortal Kombat film, available right now. I personally would love to see a new animality of a cute animal, something like a red panda or a bunny rabbit, but that's just me. Microsoft is closing the Xbox 360 marketplace today, marking the end of an era for fans of classic Xbox games. The shutdown means you can no longer buy digital copies from the official store. However, Microsoft has made a bunch of titles available at super low prices before the marketplace closes for good. Announced last August, this closure is expected to make around 220 games disappear in their digital Xbox 360 forums forever, according to Video Games Chronicle. Despite the closure, it's not all bad news. Any digital Xbox 360 games you already own will still be available to re-download if you own a 360 console. Additionally, many titles will remain playable on the Xbox One family of consoles and Xbox Series X and S through backwards compatibility. So it's worth checking out the marketplace while you still can, as games from legendary series are currently being sold at bargain prices. So long, Xbox 360 marketplace, and thanks for all the memories. Now let's go over the video games releasing this week.
Games out this week.
On July 30th, Deadlink gets ported over to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. August 1st, we get Star Wars Bounty Hunter being ported over to PS4, PS5, PC, Switch, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. Thank goodness you're here. Also arrives on PS5, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Then, August 2nd, the Mortuary Assistant Definitive Edition creeps onto PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. The Epic Games Store has another free game this week. Lumberjack will be available for download from August 1st to the 8th.
Quest complete.
And that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest, Maude Garrett, who joins us with a special update on San Diego Comic-Con and all the big announcements she got to see.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Maude, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to hear everything you got to experience at San Diego Comic-Con. It must have been a wild ride.
Let's freaking go. It was a lot of fun. I feel like Comic-Con kind of had a bit of a backseat in the last couple of years with the pandemic and then with the strikes where the actors couldn't even talk about what they were up to. So it did feel like Comic-Con was back this year with some massive announcements. I will say, though, this was Marvel's Comic-Con. Marvel absolutely owned the Comic-Con with announcements, with their multiple panels, with the news drops. So if you are a Marvel fan, it was a really good time to be at Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah. I could see some of the highlights. Of course, I wasn't there in person like you were, but I would love to know of all the things that were announced, was there anything, like what were the top highlights for you?
I think announcing Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom.
Oh, yeah.
I did not see that coming. I thought that RDJ had such a great run as Iron Man. He was the Marvel hero that brought Marvel back in a big way. And it just felt like he had such a lovely exit. His story was told so well. So to sort of come back as a villain was the twist I don't think many of us saw. His name was being thrown around, and I remember just thinking, there's just no way. There's no way. But apparently that Marvel money has the loudest cha-ching out there. So I get why he's back.
Yeah. Do you think he would sign on for another 5 or 6 movies at this point? Or is it just a one-off? Like, I'm so curious how this is going to evolve.
So Dr. Doom is one of the main villains with Fantastic Four, and Fantastic Four is having a movie and I believe is going to be also a part of the upcoming Avengers movies, plural. So it sounds like he's going to be the big bad for the next phase at least.
We've switched out one villain for another, basically.
Yeah, sorry, Josh Brolin. You're no longer Thanos. You're no longer the threat. It's now up to the next saga. And there's chances that it's multiverse. There's chances that there's mutants. It's actually really quite exciting.
Yeah. And were there any other highlights? Because you just mentioned the Avengers movies that are coming out. We know officially that the Russo brothers are back to direct. Yeah.
And there was a little speculation that was going to be Sean Levy, who has just done Deadpool and Wolverine. That was actually bonkers. They had their own panel the day the movie came out, and they brought up massive spoiler cameo appearances on the panel. So if you hadn't seen the movie, which had come out mere hours before, you got massive spoilers by attending that panel. So if you haven't seen the movie, don't check out the Deadpool Wolverine panel online. Avoid it at all costs because, that was a bit ballsy to have like big name spoilers come on stage.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm like avoiding it at all costs. I'm trying.
It's very good. That's all I will say.
I've heard so many great things, and I'm hoping to see it this week. But yeah, so besides that, anything else stand out to you that you weren't expecting or that showed up at the show?
I will say, I feel like Lego really had a surprising presence at Comic-Con this year. It was interesting to see who's on the billboards, who's got the spend, who's really putting money out there. So Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, their upcoming season, there was a lot of money and hype and events around that. But Lego had a lot of show floor presence. They were really kind of putting big bucks into making a name for themselves at Comic-Con. And I do think it's that reminder that, yes, Comic-Con is more than just Marvel movies, Marvel announcements, DC. It's film and television and books and tabletop games.
And video games.
I wish there was a little more video games.
Me too. I was looking at past years and thinking about all this stuff. There used to be Xbox had a presence, PlayStation, Nintendo. But this year, very little in terms of game announcements. I mean, we had the Mortal Kombat news come out of one of the panels and a teaser trailer from that we talk about in today's show. But besides that, not much in terms of games. I'm just wondering, maybe there aren't that many games that are Marvel or Star Wars or adjacent to a lot of the stuff being revealed at Comic-Con. And I wonder what they could do in the future because E3 is a thing of the past at this point. So what do you think they should do to maybe bring a bigger presence? I feel like video games is like the other vertical that they're missing at this point.
I absolutely agree. And I would think that if they were to include it, I would almost want it to have it's own dedicated day. So far, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if they were like, in the schedule, it's like, all right, game on. This is game time. I think that without E3, there is fantastic real estate to take up at Comic-Con. I do feel like, as someone who hosted Geek Bomb for over 10 years, where the number one question was like, what are you playing, watching, reading? It is all encompassing for games to slot in with the conversation of nerd content. Mm-hmm. So I do wish that there was more video game presence there. There is a lot going on and I wouldn't want it to get lost. But I also feel like being at the end of July, it is that sort of summer feel, and it would compete with the Summer Games Fest, but at the same time, this also could be the one-stop shop to chat about games. Now, if it was utilized better this year, it would have been fantastic timing, because this would have been the last chance to talk about video games in a big way before the strike kicks in. Mm-hmm. And now that the strike is pretty much happening, a lot of artists, a lot of voiceover artists, a lot of big announcements aren't able to talk about it. So this could have been a last hurrah that, it wasn't taken advantage of in the way that I'd hoped.
Yeah, and I did hear a lot of voice actors say they would fulfill any duties, even given that the strikes are happening, that they would have still done stuff at SDCC if they had been called to do that. But there just wasn't much this year. That being said, is there anything that you were hoping to see this year that just wasn't there? Or do you think there's anything you'd love to see at SDCC moving forward?
On a personal level, and I think this is something that you and I can like really bond and click over, I would have liked to have seen more of my friends there.
Oh, yeah.
I just noticed that like the last 10 years, Comic-Con was the one-stop shop where without fail, you would catch up with all of your friends. Like that was the place to really sort of see everyone. And I looked back through, you know how your phone will be like, hey, here are the memories around this time from last year. 10 years ago, I got to interview Troy Baker for Lego Batman. And so it was like interesting seeing that he and I started a friendship 10 years ago at Comic-Con over a video game character, and seeing sort of like the evolution of how many people that I'd met and why this was so important. And this year it just felt very, very different in that regard. So I feel like either it's moving in a newer direction, or maybe, dare I say it, because I've been doing this for 10 years, maybe I'm just aging out of it.
Oh, no, that can't be it. I mean, we're kind of iconic when it comes to SDCC. You know, we always have a presence there. I did skip out this year, and quite a few folks I know who do kind of the stuff that we do did skip out this year. I don't know. I wonder if it's a thing that we're still following. We're still catching up to what the pandemic did, what the strikes did. So I think money is not being pushed through that event as it used to. And maybe that's why we're, just caught in the crossfires of that. Even seeing like some of the people who you normally would have panels did not this year. I don't know. I think there's still future possibilities. I think it's still evolving and changing after everything that happened. So yeah, I don't want to believe that. If you
were to put games in with that, it would, I think, make Comic-Con absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something they should look at for future events and for moving forward and how they grow and change. Because, it's still, luckily, games and even seeing games and TV shows now, the success of Fallout, there's just a lot of those happening. And I think maybe this year, the timing of it wasn't right, but we'll see, as more games turn into TV shows or into movies, we'll see that presence grow as games take over Hollywood as they have. That being said, let's still touch on video games a little bit here. Have you been playing anything lately? Have you had time to play something new or fresh?
I am really into Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh,
the
good.
First Dragon's Dogma came out around 2012, I believe, because I was so into it. I just thought it had really sort of leaned into the RPG element of an exploration element, and it did things that other big games around that time like Skyrim weren't doing. And one of the systems that Dragon's Dogma introduced was the pawn system, PAWN, where you create sort of your pawn character. So this is a character that's, you can design it to be almost like the opposite to your character. You bring him into battle, but then you enlist two other pawns, and they're the ones that have been built by other players playing the game. And so you can balance out sort of your 4-stack, kind of what Dragon Age is, but instead of it being more of an NPC, it's someone else's sidekick. So you're leveling up their characters for them, and you're able to sort of tailor quests within your pawns. So if other people want to hire them into their campaign, they can partake in the quest that you've set for them. It was just a really interesting way to have sort of like a multiplayer aspect without it impacting other people. So I was a big fan of the initial Dragon's Dogma. A lot of the time when you have big open world exploration, fast travel is imperative. This game makes you work so hard for fast travel. You have to collect pieces of like a port crystal, which you then need to place around the map. Sometimes some cities will have them, other times it won't. I'm a big fast travel, bounce around, do the quest. This game forces you to literally run miles and kilometers to get to the next place.
Yeah.
While you're running through this gorgeous expansion of a world, you'll run into trolls, you'll run into manticores, you'll run into griffins, and you have that Skyrim-esque big battle music and, their health meter come up the top and you're like, oh, it's go time. So I actually love aspects of this game. I don't think it's as good as the first game, but I have been enjoying it. It took me a little bit longer to get into the schematics and understanding the quests. It would sort of say, you need to do this and offer no other explanation. And you're like, well, okay. But after about sort of 10 or so hours, I was really starting to get a hang of it. And I'm talking like multiple days of 6+ hour gaming sessions. And I love that with gaming. When you wake up and it's just an itch you need to scratch. So I had that with Dragon's Dogma for sure.
I love that. Well, Maude, it's always such a pleasure having you on the show. And thank you so much for sharing all your SDCC highlights and all that good stuff.
It was a lot of fun. I wish I slept more, but hey, no rest for the nerdies.
That's right. All right, Maude, have a good one.
Thanks so much, Naomi.
Maude Garrett is a TV host and interviewer and founder of Maude's Book Club. You can follow her on Twitter at Maude Garrett.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had such a blast bringing you the news this week. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks to my co-writer, Josh Seaman, for helping to put the show together every week. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you a gaming-filled week. We'll see you same time next week. Talk to you later.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.